TikTok. So if you want to follow me on TikTok, it's the AI Learning Lab. I go live nightly for about 2 or 3 hours just talking about AI, so I should be able to talk about this tonight. Just quickly before we start, how many people would consider themselves active AI users? Okay. How many people have never used AI? And it's okay, okay, 2? And how many people have kind of heard of it and they're like a little like, what is this? Okay, 2 or 3. Okay, good. Cool. On my first day of 7th grade in 1977, I walked into my math class, and that's kind of what it looked like. These aren't real computers. This is Mid-Journey imagining what a 7th grade classroom looked like with a bunch of computers on the desks. And it's actually kind of what it looked like. What were on the desks were Radio Shack TRS-80s, which if there's some old people in here, you've seen those before, with the dual 5 1/4-inch floppy drives. Oh yeah. And as I learned what these machines were and I learned how to program them, I realized, holy crap, this is going to change everything. That using these things felt like what it must have been like when the printing press was invented or when the steam engine was invented. Like this felt like one of those. And I remember, I had heroes. And, Steve Jobs and Wozniak that founded Apple, and Bill Gates and the team from Microsoft that created this. And I remember in 7th grade being really sad that I was just too young to be one of them, that I had missed it, that I just knew that this was going to change everything, and I wasn't a part of it. And I knew that I was going to live with that for the rest of my life. Jump forward to 1994. I'm living in New York City. I have a degree in acting, so it's perfect that I'm talking about AI, right? I moved to New York out of school to pursue a life in the arts. I started and ran a theater company. That didn't work out financially. It was good creatively, but you don't make a lot of money doing that. So I thought, I know, because I'm a genius, I'll write myself an acting career. So in 2 years, I wrote 7 feature-length screenplays. And for my day job, you have to hustle in New York. For my day job, I was doing desktop publishing. And I kept hearing people talk about the internet, and I kind of got on the internet, and the internet was kind of cool, but you had to dial up, right? And everything was command line, and you'd go to FTP sites or Telnet sites, and these libraries would have dissertations and documents, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. And then people started talking about this thing called the World Wide Web. And I started learning about it, and I thought, well, this seems kind of amazing, that there's something where you can include pictures, and it's got these things called hyperlinks, and I said, but surely I can't learn that. And so I started reading about it, and I started talking to other people about it. No one knew about it. A handful of people knew about it. And I started asking questions, what is this World Wide Web thing? What's this HTML? And the more I learned about it, the more I realized, oh crap, the way you structure a website is almost identical to how you structure a screenplay. It's just storytelling in a different form. And I was like, holy crap, maybe I can do this. And so I had an idea. I thought, the internet right now is full of dissertations and research and technical crap. There was no art. There was no culture. And so I came up with this idea for an online magazine called Urban Desires. And I went on vacation with my wife and took my Mac 660 AV and a 13-inch color monitor, and I taught myself enough HTML to make this. This is the homepage of the first issue of Urban Desires from 1994. You'll notice that you could click on the cover and see it big like this, but you'll notice it's left justified. Why? Because the center tag didn't apply to images in 1994. Yeah, exactly. But I got home and I had this magazine and I didn't know what to do with it next. And so I asked one of my friends that knew something, and they're like, well, you got to put it on an internet server. And I'm like, what's an internet server? And they said, well, I know one in California, and they gave me this phone number of this computer in California. So I had my computer call this computer in California. Oh, wait. And if you don't know what that sound is, I hate you. That means you're too young. There was a time when we had to have our computer call other computers to talk to them. The internet wasn't just there. So I published this magazine on this thing called the internet, and I'm like, okay, like what now? And 3 weeks later, I got a note on a bulletin board, a dial-up bulletin board that I was a part of. And someone said, hey, Kyle, did you know that Urban Desires was written up in Libération, the Parisian news daily? And I was like, what? And they said, you can, I get a little choked up over this. You can go to the international newsstand at Times Square and get it. So the next Sunday, I went to Times Square and I bought this French newspaper and flipped through it. And sure enough, there's a full-page article of this magazine that I created in my apartment in Brooklyn and shipped to some computer in California, written about in Paris, 3 weeks later. And what hit me as I stood in the middle of Times Square was that the world just changed, and nobody knows it yet. It was remarkable. And from that, I co-founded agency.com, which was one of the first digital agencies. And we ended up building websites for the Fortune 500. We ended up growing to 2,200 people. It was in 5 years. It was absolute insanity. We built British Airways' first website. We built their ticketing system. We built the first streaming technology for Sirius satellite radio because none of it existed. All of it had to be invented. And you know, the early days of the World Wide Web get a bit of a bad rap. Like, history hasn't treated it well because of the dot-com boom and bust. Everyone's like, oh, that was just crap, and yeah. No, but it changed the world. And if you were playing with this stuff in those early days, it wasn't like the oversold, hyped up thing that everyone talks about in 2000. It was people that just passionately believed in this. Or, oh my God, this is going to change things. So, and I really thought that would be the last time in my life that I would get to be at the beginning of something like that. Like, just, I felt so fucking lucky, right, to be a part of it. And I kind of knew, like, these don't come along that often, right? It's like fire, the wheel, fire, you know, language, writing, printing press, steam engine, right? There's not that many of these. The 20th century's had a lot, but there's not that many. So jump forward to 2022. This image is one of the very first AI images I ever created. I'd kind of done a deep dive into NFTs and blockchain, and I was you know, kind of into that. But I got involved in this project called Pixel Mind, and it was an NFT project where it was kind of like Mad Libs, where you just fill in like an animal or whatever, and it would make a piece of art, and it was really cool. And this was one of my first pieces of art, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And you know, it had like metadata about the information, and every image you created had a video attached to it. And this is the computer making that art. You got to watch it make the art. And I was like, huh, that's curious. And for the next 6 months or so, this is the beginning of 2022, I would sort of go to this Pixel Mind site, and I would do it in batches. I would go make, 20 images or 100 images or whatever, and you could mint them into NFTs, which I'm like, oh, cool, I can sell these. They're worthless. Nobody gives a shit. And then one of the days I went there, and there was this Mad Libs prompt for, I don't know, some sort of futuristic cyborg portrait. And so I did Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and I threw Elon Musk in there because we're going to Mars, and he made the electric car. So you got these kind of titans of innovation. And what struck me when I was doing this was, like, what's the point? Like, I'm making all these images, what am I using them for? What am I using them for? And I thought, I should learn what's underneath this. And what was underneath this is a thing called Stable Diffusion, which is an image tool you can play with right now. It's free, it's open source. A lot of drama going on at the company right now, if you follow that stuff. And the more I learned about it, it was kind of like that HTML stuff that I learned in the 90s, where it was like, I think I can figure this out, I think I can figure it out. And I learned that you had to use a notebook from this thing called Google Colab, and you had to get a Google Colab account, and you got the notebook, and then you hit these play buttons, and it would do the programming for you. I failed 9 times. 9 times. Like, not 9 times in a sitting, like 9 different times over a 2-month period. I tried to get Stable Diffusion working, and I would hit the play button, and it would do its thing, and then it would give me an error. And I didn't know what to flip and do. And then I eventually got it. And I also installed this thing called Dream Booth, which let me upload 25 pictures of myself, and then I could make these crazy portraits of me, because the internet doesn't know what I look like. It knows what Steve Jobs and Bill Gates look like. It doesn't know what I look like. So I got this thing working, and I started making all these crazy self-portraits of myself. And they were bizarre, and they were crazy, and they were me, but they were not me. And I thought, I want to see that movie. I want to know what future he lives in. And it's what life choices did this guy make to end up there, right? I'm pretty sure he's busting down your door for thought violations. I might age okay, and if you want to see these, you can go to Kyle Shannon Dreams, both on Instagram and TikTok. What I ended up doing was I said, I want to know these stories, and I'm a writer, and so I wrote stories for each of these little things, and I was kind of like, okay, I think I'm getting what this AI stuff's about. I think I'm getting it. And here's what struck me. What happens with AI is, especially now, because you don't have to go through all the technical bullshit I went through to get this up and running. You can just do this now. If you've ever done anything, if you've ever done fucking anything, right? Everything you do takes a lot of effort, right? It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. What I was experiencing with AI was I put in a little bit of effort, and I was getting back massive amounts of value. Little bit of effort, massive amounts of value. When I was doing these images, one of the images it produced took my breath away. Literally, I went, oh my God. Because what it was an image that, if I had the talent, is the kind of image I would have created. And that's just wow, holy crap. Then, as if that weren't enough, this happened. Everybody know what that date is? Anybody know what that date is? That was the day ChatGPT came out. ChatGPT does for AI and machine learning what the World Wide Web did for the internet. One of the big misconceptions about AI is I got to be a mathematician, I got to be a scientist. I didn't go to MIT, I don't have a degree from Stanford. Prior to ChatGPT, you really did have to be a mathematician. You really did have to be a scientist or a researcher or a developer. ChatGPT made it simple for the rest of us to tap into the power of this stuff that's been developed for 30, 40, 50 years, probably 70 years if you go back to the original neural network designs. We are at a remarkable time in history. And this date, in my opinion, is the beginning of an entirely new era. An entirely new era. So let me give you a little bit of context or just a couple of pieces of information about ChatGPT. One is, bonus question, anybody know what GPT stands for?
Graphical.
Close?
I remember, but I can't.
Generative Pre-trained Transformer. The G in it's the really important one. Generative. It's generated. It's not copying and pasting. That's one of the massive misconceptions. It's not how it works. It's generating original stuff. Pre-trained means it was pre-trained on the internet. Transformer's just the technology. So, here's some important dates. 2017, Google invents this thing called the transformer. That's the T in GPT. It was a paper called Attention Is All You Need. They invent this thing that allows machine learning scientists to train these models on massive data sets. OpenAI and Sam Altman were the ones who really understood the more compute we throw at this and the more data we throw at this, the better they seem to get. And so they did GPT-1 in 2018 and GPT-2, I think the year after that. GPT-3 comes out in 2020. So what they did was they got as much of the public internet data as they could. And they coded it in such a way that they could put it into this model. And GPT-3 came out in 2020 and started to be really remarkable. If you were paying attention to internet and tech stuff back then, like people buzzed about this a little bit, but you still had to be an engineer. The interface to use it was this thing called the OpenAI Playground, the GPT Playground, and you had to pick models, and there were weights and temperatures, and it was too fucking hard. Interesting little tidbit, in the documentation for GPT-3 were the instructions for how to build ChatGPT, and nobody built it.
Wow.
Yeah. So exactly. In the fall of 2022 or 2023, it becomes apparent that Microsoft is going to invest in OpenAI. And so Sam Altman says, well, we should probably have something to show, like when we make this announcement that they're making this big investment. Hey, tech kids, could you just go whip up that ChatGPT thing that no one's built? They went out for drinks the night before and they assumed that no one would care. They figured it might get like a couple of blog posts and 5,000 views or something like that. The straight red line is ChatGPT. The horizontal axis is how long it took to get to 100 million users. To put what's happening with AI in context of the World Wide Web, to get to 100 million users, it took the World Wide Web about 6 years. It took ChatGPT 6 weeks. It was the fastest adoption of technology in history. They didn't think it was a big deal. Interface matters. And what I mean by that is, what is ChatGPT? If you haven't seen it before, that's kind of it. That box. It's kind of like the Google search box, right? You don't have to pick a model. You don't have to know anything geeky. You just put words in there. Well, what words do you put in there? You can put anything in there. You can ask it anything. You can even ask it, what's so special about ChatGPT? In an M&M rap. And it will write you an M&M rap talking about how awesome it is. This was one of the first things I did. This is what I like to call parlor tricks. One of the great ways to play with ChatGPT is do parlor tricks. Just ask it stupid shit. And it will do it. I won't rap for you. I will. You're... Yes. And then I thought, this is remarkable. So I was starting to see in language what I was experiencing with those pictures. What's fascinating is the underlying technology for the pictures and the music and the video and the words, it's all the same thing. It's all based on this transformer architecture. You just basically train it on different data and it gets good at different things. It's just stunning. So I started this group the week after ChatGPT came out called the Ai Salon. I'll tell you about it afterwards. I'd encourage you all to join if you're interested, if you want to join a bunch of weirdos that are really into AI. So I started this thing, and I thought, well, I got to come up with a plan for how to let people know. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you give me a social media marketing plan? And boom, there it came. Just knocked it out. And one of the suggestions was, well, you do paid media. And I'm like, no, I'm broke. I don't have money for paid media. I said, but could you give me a table that compares earned media and paid media? And boom, it formatted and did the analysis comparing paid media and earned media. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I wrote an email and it looked like shit. And I was like, I don't remember how to do HTML anymore. I had one of the largest digital agencies in the world, and HTML it's not the same. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you make my email look prettier in HTML that would be good for a service? And it wrote the code. And I just kept having like mind-blowing experience after mind-blowing experience after mind-blowing experience. I'll tell you the thing that did it for me. So it did this HTML, that I could understand, but for years people had said, oh, you should learn Python. And I was like, okay, I can learn Python, but I have ADD, I can't really program, I don't have the attention span for it. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you write me a Python script that does, I forget, whatever, just like takes an input. And so it wrote this Python code. I'm like, that looks great. And then I had this kind of shattering moment where I realized, I don't know how to run Python code. Like, I don't even know how to run the code it wrote. But I said, hey, ChatGPT, how do you run Python code? It said, well, you open up terminal and you put in this command line. I'm like, no, I don't want command line. Like, isn't there a website I can just copy and paste this? It was like, oh, sure, here's 5. And the first one was Replit, which is kind of the famous one. And I copied the code and I pasted it into Replit, and it told me to hit the play button. And I hit the play button and it gave me an error. And I'm like, oh, here we go again, like with the 9 failures for Stable Diffusion. And I said, it gave me this error. And ChatGPT said this. It said, in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, click on this button. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, look for this library and hit install. And I did it, and I hit the play button, and it worked. Within 90 minutes, I had written a Python application, fully functional Python application, that took inputs from a user and generated 5 pieces of social media content. I was doing API calls to OpenAI in a Python application I'd written in 90 minutes, absent-mindedly while my wife's watching some shitty TV show. I've never written a line of Python in my life. I still haven't. In that moment, I had that same, like, just fucking electric thing from Times Square. Oh my God, the world just changed. So this stuff isn't just fancy Google. The G in GPT is really important. It's generating. I like to think of Google and technology up to this point, the internet up to this point, has been information on demand. You ask it for information, it gives you information, but then you as a human still have to learn the shit. AI is knowledge on demand. We all, if we're willing to learn this stuff, and quite frankly, I think we're going to have to. I don't think it's optional. We get to level up skills we never imagined we had. It's staggeringly powerful. So one of the other things, so I've got a company, my company's called Storyvine, and we've got a video storytelling platform. And one of our hallmarks is like authenticity, like authentic humans telling stories. That's what our software does. People answer questions in an app, it goes up to the cloud, 5 minutes later you got a fully edited video. And I thought, well, I should at least see where the state of the art is for not that. Like, I should see, like, what am I competing with? So, and we were talking before about personas and audience segmentation and stuff like that. I thought, what if I could how would I do this? Like, how would I get, one of these tools to tell a story? And so what I started with is I said, hey, ChatGPT, and I don't say, hey, ChatGPT, but I said, help me come up with a persona framework, and what's someone's educational background and societal background, and what's their health condition, and things like that. And then I had it generate 12 personas. generate 12 people with their names, their age, their whole history. And I then had each of those people answer a set of Storyvine prompts. The way our software works, we write a set of prompts that humans answer. And I had these personas answer those prompts. What blew me away is that the stories that they told were very familiar to me. It sounded like what humans would tell because it knew who these people were. And then I went to Midjourney and I created a photo. And I thought, well, I can take the script of what they said in text and I can put that in a voice synthesis thing and I can take that photo and I can make that into a video. And then I could take those assets and put them in the Storyvine system. And I could probably, wait, hang on. I want to change this so the speakers are here. Do this.
Hello, I'm Amina'S. I was diagnosed with ALS about 4 years ago. What brings me joy is spending time with my family, especially my parents and siblings. We enjoy cooking and eating traditional South Asian dishes together. Moving beyond my diagnosis was not easy, but I found comfort in my faith and my family's support.
So, you don't need to see the whole thing. This was from February of 2023. So this was more than a year ago that this technology existed. I was really kind of excited about this because I was like, wow, that's like, this could serve, sometimes our clients can't find people to tell their stories and there might be something here. I got really excited about it and I showed my staff and I almost had one person quit. I had 3 people, like the person that almost quit said, hey, I thought we cared about humans here. Yeah, and that put me down for a while. I was like, oh shit, right? So I kind of let this go. But this was February 2023, right? So with a little bit of creativity, duct taping a couple of tools together, you can do something that's quite remarkable. This is a project that I just launched last week, and it's if you use the $20 a month version of ChatGPT, Chatgpt+, you can create these things called Gpts, which are customized versions of ChatGPT. And so I'm the chief generative officer for this marketing organization called Content Evolution. It's a federation of a bunch of different marketing companies. And so we have like a little AI skunkworks. And what we decided to do was, could we create virtual twins of ourselves? And so we used this GPT technology, which by the way, is remarkably easy. Like remarkably easy. Like in the second half of the workshop tonight, we could even make one if you want. There's lots of things we can do tonight. But what we did was we decided, we used ChatGPT to help us create a very structured set of interview questions, like 25 interview questions that talked about work history and personal history and cultural influences and I had a background and just all that sort of stuff. And we did video interviews of these 11 people. And then we took the transcript of that video interview and it becomes the knowledge base for each of these GPTs. So every one of these, you can go on the internet right now if you have access to GPT-4, and you can have virtual conversations with a PR specialist or a futurist or myself talking about AI. It's really quite remarkable. Another thing that happened in the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 months is the technology that allowed me to do the Amina'S video. You can now do that with yourself, and you can do it in different languages. So here's me speaking fluent Italian.
So we've heard from a number of clients that modular content is important to them, getting more efficient with how we create content and how we leverage content.
Clienti dicono che il contenuto modulare è importante, rendendo più efficiente la creazione dei contenuti.
Behind me you see these little green boxes. That's how you think about stories at Storyvine. We break stories down into little atoms, right? Little modules.
Dietro di me vedi queste piccole scatole verdi, così pensiamo alle storie. A Storyvine scomponiamo.
Guess you didn't know I spoke Mandarin either.
23日会议讲是什么样子？我将分享人工智能及其实现的许多知识。我将分享
享我们目前的内容模块化方法，以及我如何扩展该产品和功能机的经验和策略。
And you're probably thinking, yeah, but it's probably not good, right?
Here's Kyle talking Mandarin using AI. And what he wanted to know is, what does a native speaker think? Let's find out.
我还要谈谈已经整合到 Storyline 中的 AI 工具。
That was Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's Mandarin is really good. It's talking about the AI stories only.
My Mandarin is really good.
Well, it was AI.
Yeah, it was AI.
It was AI.
It was AI.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
Oh, it's AI.
Yes. Kyle, he didn't even realise.
Right?
Kyle, what platform did you create that on?
What's that?
What platform did you create that on?
HeyGen.
HeyGen.
Heygen. So question. How many people are super excited right now? How many people are super freaked out right now? How many are both? Yeah. I think that's the appropriate place to be. So a couple of things. The world has changed. We just don't know it yet. Most people don't know it yet. McKinsey did a report. They took two measurements. One was February of 23, and one was November of 23. In February of 2023, 87% of people had not used ChatGPT. In November, it was 82%. 82% of people have not used ChatGPT. That means 18% have. And I promise you this, the 18% that have, a bunch of them probably used it once and went, oh, it's like Google, yeah, I'm good. Of that 18%, maybe half have used it a decent amount. So now we're down to 9%. Of that 9%, maybe half have bought ChatGPT Plus, which is GPT-4, the more powerful model. And then of the people that bought it, maybe half of those are using it regularly. So right now, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 5% of people know what the fuck is going on. And 95% don't. And it's not like this is coming, like this is here. I made these translation videos like 4 months ago. And these are getting better. I saw there's a thing today, if you want to go see it, called Hume.ai, Hume.ai, where it's an emotional, conversational chatbot where when you talk to it, it measures your emotion in your voice and it shows you which emotions are in there, and then it responds appropriately with its own emotions. So like, this stuff is coming and it's coming fast. Now, I don't mean to freak you out. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, I just wanted to share this. If you're really freaked out, if you're thinking like, oh God, they're coming for our jobs. A lot of jobs are going to change, but they're going to change. They're not going to go away. So, some will go away. But this is a famous quote from Paul Delaroche from the 1840s, where when he saw the first photograph, the first daguerreotype, he said, "From today, painting is dead." Painting isn't dead. Every single time there's a new technology, there's a revolt. And the more powerful the technology, the bigger the revolt. You know, there was, when the weaving loom came out, there were riots in San Francisco. It was going to take jobs, right? When the steam engine came out, the farmers all said, what are we going to do? Well, you know, we can't be replaced by these things. Well, they moved to cities and they created an entirely new kind of, avocation. So the robots are not coming for us. These are tools we get to use. And so for the second half of this, what I'm going to do is, let's take a 5-minute break and go grab another drink, go to the bathroom, and then when we come back, I've got sort of 4 tracks that we can run down, and I'm going to let you guys decide which one we do. I'll try to get to more than one of them, but I don't think there's just so much. So when you get back, let's say it's 10 after right now, so at 8:15, come back, grab your seats, and then and then we'll move on and do the second half of the presentation. And I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Take a break.
Ask ChatGPT what to create.
Hi, everybody.
Observation is I'm Scott is facial technology. And stuff. There's also just
There's a, if you watch it carefully, when my hand goes in front of my face, it actually goes under my face.
Yes.
It goes up under here.
Yes.
So what they're doing is they're 3D mapping the face and basically just doing a layer on top of the video.
Yes. I'm really sitting down as buddies on doing shit on some presentation. Your skin there, body deception, body 77.
I'm still early, but
I was writing fucking colors, buddy. So did you feel that was because you just
I don't know. I guess, but it's like you can say the same thing for social media, right? Like you say the word. For me, social media is just smaller websites, right? So the invention was the World Wide Web, right? The shift was the shift. So the shift with PCs was the democratization. So all of these are the democratization, right? The democratization of supercomputers was personal computers. The democratization of this internet was the World Wide Web. The democratization of this stuff is all the large ones. Yeah, cool.
No, it's like my next generation. I'm looking to get into creative voice commands. I understand that AI will change
You out of here, man?
I've got to say hi. I want to
Okay, good. Thank you. How's it going? Good. Hey, Matt.
Also,
Sorry very much.
super curious about it. I was just on pitch today. Does the salon focus a lot on
There's a lot of kids. Yeah, it's not a technical.
Other question I shared with Bureau might be interesting to check out is basically a lot of agencies out there, probably a little bit smaller than you guys, especially based on but
the salon.
well, not just the salon, but like if you were building, I think the scale of stuff you're building that's a little bit on my side. But if you're still in the digital space, it's a really cool.
What's it called?
Bureau of Diffusion. And I'm happy to talk to you about it later.
Yeah, great. I'll give you my card.
And I actually was doing a talk on the crossover of AI for digital content management.
Oh yeah.
And like kind of things different ideas. I'm an expert in that space. So yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, check out the salon. The salon's not a takes you to a link tree. It's just a first link. But
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Matt? Hey.
I've been trying to talk. What is your
AI learning lab.
I'm also asking you guys about, like, have you
Well, I don't have it. But if I did, I would. Yes.
Right when the
That's
internet
nice.
had it.
Yeah.
And I remember I went to this conference. I was actually the editor of the. And all of the guys, all of the roles, they'll be like this internet. 5%.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I was right now, and I'm like,
All right, we're getting started again, you weirdos. Is Kyle running it from there, or is he ignoring us? I'm ignoring you. Hi, I can't talk to you people. Let's take our seats again, people. Artificial intelligence is very important. This is serious. Sit down. Yeah. You don't have to sit down. You can stay standing up. Okay. So, and the only reason I want to tighten this up is there's so much to talk about. There's so much. If you haven't guessed it, I'm an optimist about this stuff. I think it's very easy right now to demonize or dismiss AI. Because Hollywood's told us for the past 50 years the robots are going to kill us. The tools right now are janky. As I say on my TikTok channel, they're janky pieces of shit. They hallucinate, which basically means they lie. They're inaccurate. They're really hard to get to do things consistently well. They're very frustrating. I am more creatively alive than I've been since I was a kid. It's one of the most inspiring, like awe-inspiring experiences I've ever had in my life. And it happens like multiple times a week, that feeling. One of the AI needs a good PR firm because they have a shitty PR firm right now. The fact that they call them chatbots, right? We call it a chatbot. So it's a bot. And what are bots? Bots are cold and inhuman. My experience in interacting with these tools is not that. If you understand how they work, they're a calculator. It's a probability engine. It's literally, the way they work is you type a prompt and it creates a probabilistic weighting, and it looks into 1,000-dimensional mathematical space and pulls a token out that represents a word or a period and plops that on your screen, and it does that over and over and over again. It literally doesn't know what it wrote. But your experience in working with them, like, I cannot not say please and thank you when I interact with ChatGPT. Because, confession, amen. When it responds to you, it's like working with a really polite coworker that never gets pissed off at you and is always supportive of your ideas. It's like having a golden retriever as an assistant that just happens to know all of the shit in the world. Great idea, boss. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was a good idea. So, I'm going to give y'all some options. We can go down 4 tracks. One is, how do these tools actually work? That 1,000-dimensional space I talked about. It's not as boring as it sounds. And actually, once you understand how they work, I think it's actually really valuable in using them because you understand things like, why do they hallucinate? Why are they not able to answer me sometimes? So we can do that. How many people in here have a ChatGPT Plus subscription? 1, 2, 3. Okay. How many of you have used more than just the chat part of it? Okay. 2, yeah. Okay. Good. Decent. One of the other things we could do is a ChatGPT deep dive. You will be blown away because people ask me all the time, is it really worth the $20? I think it's the best $20 you could spend in the history of software. But, I don't feel that strongly about it. So if you want to see that, we can do that. It is stupid right now to learn anything about AI because 3 months from now, everything will have changed. But you should absolutely be getting AI literate. So this track is about how do you get AI literate, knowing that things are changing so fast. Like the next 3 years it is overwhelming on levels that are hard to describe. But we can go down a path of what I think is the way to stay AI literate and not drive yourself crazy. And then the fourth one is, I get this question a lot too, what's the best AI tool? And so we can go down that route, and I can tell you the best AI tool, or a dozen of them. So, I guess we'll do it like this. Look at that, get the one you want, and then rather than vote with voice or anything, I just want you to all hold up your hand with 1, 2, 3, or 4 fingers up for which path you'd like to go down.
Can we do 2 paths?
Can we do 2 paths?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I'd like to go how AI works
Okay.
and the best AI tools.
Okay, how AI works, best AI tools, what else?
Getting AI literate.
Okay, we need to do a vote. Okay, so we've each got 2 hands. So put up 2 hands and put your first and second thing up. Okay. 4, 1, 2. I got a lot of 2s. Oh God, this is bad. Okay, we can't do it this way.
Everybody raise their hand for how AI works.
Okay.
The classic voting style. Raise your hand for the one that you want to vote for.
Okay, how AI works.
Can we ask AI?
ChatGPT deep dive. Okay, that's decent. Getting AI literate. Okay, it really doesn't matter. It's okay.
And the best tools. Best tools.
Oh, best tool. But the people that are left, like it's essentially a 4-way split. So I'm gonna choose.
Very good.
Okay, I'm gonna start with how AI works. So I said this before, AI isn't copying and pasting. One of the things that you'll hear a lot is, AI is the world's greatest plagiarism machine. It's stealing from artists. It's stealing. It's a very, very, very complicated gray area that will not be resolved probably in our lifetime. All of these models, for the most part, Adobe is an exception actually. Adobe's Firefly was not trained on copywritten work, but all of the large language models, most of the image models, most of the music models, most of the things have been trained on work without people's consent. But how it actually creates the content is not copying and pasting. When you ingest a document into one of these large language models and embed it, what it actually does is it converts words into what are called tokens, which is just like a string of numbers. And it doesn't even know what words are in there. It's just a mathematical space. So that's just an important concept to know. It doesn't really make a difference, but when you hear someone say, oh, it's plagiarizing, it's not. The G in GPT stands for generative. It's generating. It's generating original work. So how does it do it? Generative pre-trained transformer again. Generative means it's generating. Pre-trained means it was pre-trained on all of the internet. You don't need to bring your own data. You used to have to. That's why you had to be a scientist. And then transformer is the technology. You might hear LLM, which stands for large language model. Then if you geek out a little bit, or if you're technical, you might hear this thing called the latent space. And the latent space is a mathematical representation of word clustered by meaning. So this is a 2-dimensional visualization of latent space. Every one of those clusters is clusters of these vectors. So like you have an XY vector in a 2D thing, you have an XY vector, right? And the clusters are semantically grouped words. So you might have the word dog in the light blue section, and dog in that case means the fluffy animal you have in your house, and then you might have dog in the purple section, which means he did his girl bad and he's a dog, right? So you can have the same word have different meanings. The real latent space is like 1,000 dimensions. Like we can't conceive it. It's insanely complicated. But here's how it works. When you put in a prompt, the large language model predicts the next token or the next word, just to simplify it, over and over and over again, and it kind of works like this. If we type in the prompt, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy blank, as humans, our large language model goes, dog, we know that, it's dog, so how did our brain do that? Well, how this brain does that is it does this. That mathematical weighting basically says, oh, the word at the end of that sentence, it's got the highest likelihood of being in this cluster. And then within that cluster of vectors, one of them has the highest probability of being the right word. And what it actually looks like is like a big, long-ass number that is then associated with the word dog. And then it puts the word dog into your sentence. So when you see ChatGPT write a whole essay for you, it's doing it like this, one token or a little cluster of tokens at a time. It doesn't know what it wrote. So when you ask it something and it gives you the wrong answer and you're like, hey, dum-dum, you gave me the wrong answer, give me the right answer. And it's like, oh, sorry about that, boss, here's the right answer. And it's wrong again. And what we're used to is computers that are probabilistic, computers that are predictable. If I ask it something, it gives me the right answer. That's not what these things are doing. The G, generative, it's generating stuff. When Sam Altman got fired, there's a thing coming called Q-Star that is a reasoning engine that we think is going to make these things really powerful, where what it will do in the future is it won't just vomit out words, it will vomit out words and then it will use reasoning to say, are these the right words? And then it will fix them and then give you things. So the problem of hallucination is going to get better and better and better and better, and it's probably going to happen pretty quickly. But anyway, that's how they work. Isn't that fascinating? I think. Okay.
Absolutely.
How do images work? This is even more... Okay, there are mathematicians on the planet that figured this stuff out. Like, holy crap! We get to play with this stuff. Do you get that? Okay. The way the image models work is you take your large language model and you pair that with what's called a diffusion model. And then the images that it's trained on, they take a noising algorithm and they turn all of the images into random noise images using an algorithm. And then that vector space that I talked about just basically points to a bunch of unrecognizable noisy images. So when you give it a prompt, the large language model does that same thing with the vectors, and it says, if our prompt is cat on a desk, it sort of says, okay, here's a cluster of pictures that have been labeled cat, here's a cluster of pictures that have been labeled desk, and then it takes these random noise images of cats and desks, and it averages them into a random noise image. And then it uses the same algorithm that made them noisy to denoise them. And so it creates what you think is a copy-pasted image, but it's a completely original image that was sort of literally like materialized out of fairy dust, out of like probably thousands of images that are no longer images. It's just this noise pattern that get denoised and turned into this stuff. So again, when you understand how it works, it's like, wait, how do these things work? What are they doing? All right, so that's that. Questions? Yes?
What's noise?
What's noise? Noise is just like, when you're not old enough. How old are you?
34.
You're right on the border. Do you remember old-timey TVs when it went off air, it would go...
Yeah.
That's noise. So it basically takes the image and just noises it. It makes it noisy. So there's an algorithm where it takes it from looking like this and it goes backwards. And then in the database are just a bunch of those things. And the algorithm that made it that noisy, it then takes the average thing and turns it into that. Yeah?
And why does the noise have to be added?
Because that's what the mathematicians came up with. For efficiency, if you were actually copying and pasting these, like the amount of data processing you'd have to do would be massive. Like it's already massive, so I think this just makes it more simple? I honestly don't know. Good question. Okay. Any other questions?
You said AI is not an it.
I said AI is not an it.
It's not an it. Yeah, that's what you said to me. You said, yeah. What, like,
No, AI is a. No, I said it. What it is like a calculator. It is an it, but interacting with it doesn't feel like that because the data it was trained on
It's not the bot.
is not the bot. Yeah, you're not interacting with the bot. You're interacting with the sort of collective output of humanity that's been dumped on the public internet for the past 50 years. And so what it feels like, emotionally to me, is like I'm collaborating. I'll tell you what's wild for me. COVID. So I was an absolute non-believer in remote work. I fucking hate remote work. I love people. I get energy from people. I work in a company. My company is full of introverts. When the lockdown happened, they're like, "Woo, we're living our best life. We hate people. Screw you all." And you know, I was like, I like people. I like. When I interact with ChatGPT, what COVID taught us was how to work remotely. And what it feels like is like I'm working with a remote worker who's really polite, incredibly competent, and clueless. Like you know, like clueless interns that are like really smart. Like they went to the Ivy League school and you bring them into your agency and then you're like, go write the thing and they write it. You're like, this is horrible. They're like, oh, right. They don't know basic world stuff, right? That's how these things are. But interacting with it it's not a human experience, but it is way more human. It doesn't feel like you're interacting with a robot. I think calling it a bot is wrong. Not wrong, but I think it's inaccurate. Okay. Yeah, I think ChatGPT, I'm between ChatGPT deep dive. Okay, let's just do two. ChatGPT deep dive versus getting AI literate. I think those are the most important ones, actually. So, raise your hand, ChatGPT deep dive, and then raise your hand, getting AI literate.
What do you mean by AI literate? What will they cover?
Knowing what AI is well enough that you could talk about it at a party. Deep dive? I'll see if we can do both. All right, we'll start out with ChatGPT deep dive. Okay. The juggler. I used to be a juggler. All the things on the left: basic chat, advanced chat, voice chat, custom instructions, DALL-E 3 image generation, code interpreter, custom GPTs. All of those are things that ChatGPT does. Most people don't know that. So, here's what we're going to do. Who's got... How are we going to... My eyes aren't quite good enough. You and I were talking about customer segmentation, right?
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes.
Give me a project. Give me that project that we want to do, and we'll go play with ChatGPT. We'll sort of exploit a bunch of these different things. So
We can really make anything, like, we can just come up with any audience, like, how would they want to celebrate a holiday, or how would they want to commemorate a graduation, or how would they...
Okay, so we want to define an audience, and then we want to be able to ask ChatGPT how that audience would want to be communicated with.
Could ask how they feel, create an audience and ask how they feel about AI.
Okay, how they feel about AI. Okay, great. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of let me orient you a little bit. This is ChatGPT. Down at the bottom here is where you type stuff in. Make me a poem about Cheetos. It doesn't matter. Typos are literally irrelevant. It understands everything.
Wow.
Do I have the internet turned on? I do. Oh, we might not be doing ChatGPT if it's a little. It might be a little sleepy. Let's see. Let me reload the page. Make me a poem. All right, I won't do Cheetos, about Fritos. In the heart of the bag, where the salty winds blow, lies a corn so bold. Where the true snackers go, golden treasures crisp in rows they lay, whispering tales of crunch in the light of day. So that's ChatGPT. This is what I call parlor tricks. You could also do things like write me a LinkedIn article about the same and format using Markdown. Markdown, I didn't know what it was, but it's a thing that makes things pretty. Let's see. To make it easier to use. Now, a couple of things. An article about the same. ChatGPT understands the context of what you talked about before. So it's got a memory. It's a really short memory right now, so sometimes you'll be talking to it and things will be going great and then it just kind of loses its mind. It's because it actually lost its mind. Those are getting bigger, but right now that's just kind of a deal. But anyway, so Markdown made the big headline, and so here's our LinkedIn article, well formatted. You could literally just copy and paste this over to a LinkedIn article. A brief history, the golden corn. And then let's see. Make a table comparing Cheetos and Fritos. Oops.
Isn't this just a bunch of words?
It is and it's not.
Is there value in taking it from the perspective of like an authority or?
Absolutely, and that's what we're going to do here in a second. So this is just basic ChatGPT chat. Now, and by the way, like, oops, you know, this thing of just compare two things, do analysis comparing this ridiculous thing with that ridiculous thing. One of the things I absolutely recommend when you're playing with AI stuff is don't take it seriously. Play with it. Ask it to compare gummy bears and sushi. Ask it to write a ridiculous poem. Ask it to create a computer program that does something stupid. Because in doing that, you'll sort of take yourself off the hook for feeling like, oh my God, I've got to learn something. This is so hard. This hurts. And you'll start to find the boundaries of where this stuff is good and where it's not good. If you try to just stay too locked into what you know, you won't actually learn what these things make possible. Okay, so let me show you a couple other things here. We're in ChatGPT 4 right now. I'm going to flip over to ChatGPT 3.5. I'm going to do the same thing. Make me a poem about Cheetos this time. You'll notice this is much faster. So ChatGPT 3.5 is the smaller, less powerful version, but it's super fast. So if you really just want to kick out ideas, starting to understand what the different tools are capable of is a power move. And I can show you some of that. There's also I'm trying to think where I want to go first. Let me flip back over here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a new chat, and we're going to say, give me an audience. Give me an audience that we're gonna learn about.
I mean, for my job, it would typically be like a bunch of psychographics combined with a bunch of like demographics. So.
Okay, so wait. So here's what we'll say. I want you to act as a population specialist, analyst, and consultant. Please create 3 audience persona frameworks, so I can choose one to start working with. Now, when I say act as a population specialist, analyst, and consultant, that was your question before. Does that actually work? Here's why that works. So if we go back to the latent space graph, you've got all those clusters of words, right? Here's a good one. This was Andre Karpathy, who works at OpenAI. This was an example that he used. He said, imagine you want to ask about a math problem. And you just say to ChatGPT, hey, explain this math problem to me. And it will explain it. And very often it will hallucinate and get it wrong. And the way he described it is, in the latent space, in its knowledge base, is everything that's ever been written about that math problem. So there's the professor at Stanford that wrote about that math problem, and then there's all of the crappy students at some local college that wrote about that math problem that got it wrong. So when you just ask about the math problem, it'll sort of confabulate good stuff with bad stuff. If you say, hey, I want you to act as a Stanford mathematician that specializes in this branch of mathematics, and I want you to tell me about that problem, you're narrowing, you're cutting out a bunch of those other areas, and so you're kind of narrowing the sort of knowledge base that you're going. That's why when you treat ChatGPT kind of like Google, you just give it a quick little generic search, it gives you shitty answers, because it's sort of amalgamating everything anyone's ever said, and they're idiots. So you need to find the areas of brilliance within this massive model. Okay, so this thing's going to go off now. Creating an audience and persona frameworks involves blah, blah, blah. So it's going to tell us this. And it will. So the demographic focused persona, pay attention. I'm sorry, what's your name again? Julie. So pay attention, Julie. All right, so we're going to go, demographics is one of them. Oh, wait. Persona name. So it gave us the framework. So framework 1 is demographic focused, and then it's actually filling that out. So here's Fiona. Okay, this is good. This is good. I might stop this at some point here because it's a little slow. By the way, this is very, very familiar back to the 70s. When you had dial-up modems, this is how slow they typed. Like you could watch the internet typing across screen. And so we're going to look back at these times and go, hey, remember when ChatGPT actually you could read it when it typed? That's not going to be here for long. Okay, I'm bored. Anyone else bored? Okay, this is framework 3. Okay, so behavior focused, psychographic focused, or demographic focused? Do you prefer one over the other?
I think psychographic will just be, especially if we're going to ask it something about like how do you feel about AI, psychographic.
No, I'm not good with that. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Can you now create a single framework that combines all 3 and gives us 3 unique personas based on it? So one of the things that a good way to think about ChatGPT is not like a search engine. You give it a prompt, it gives you an answer. That's one of the big misconceptions. You give it a prompt, it gives you an answer. Oh, the AI wrote that. No, think of it more like a collaborative conversation, like a jam session. And give it more information than you think it needs. The reason that I asked it to give me 3 different persona frameworks, I don't frankly give a shit what it gave me. I just want it to know what we're talking about. So by it giving us that and me telling, okay, yeah, those are good, now combine them into one, it's sort of, I'm giving it increasingly narrow, a narrow window for this conversation to live in. So the more context you give these things, the better they get. Yeah?
Question for you. I use this all day, every day, and I incorporate a lot of additional references into my prompts as I start generating them.
Uh-huh.
But the one thing I can't figure out, and this is such a weird question to ask, is the punctuation that you find is the best way to separate the different references that you're including, because you get into it, obviously.
So the question is, if you're putting in references, like you say, I want you to go look at this article, or you copy and paste, something from a different article, in your prompt, if you're putting things in the prompt, the question was, how do you provide punctuation? What's the best way to add punctuation as you add those different references? In general, think of, have you ever done any programming at all? Have you ever done any like even basic programming, like engineering, anything? The more structure you can give it, the better. So you can do things like incorporate the following references, and then colon, bullet point, reference 1, bullet point, reference 2, bullet point, reference 3. Ignore these references, and then so just create structure. It likes structure. So and like even if you do the label of include these references in all caps with a colon and then bullet points below it, it'll really understand that. Also play around with order. Order sometimes matters. Okay, so now we've got these things. So we've got, again, I don't really care who it is, but we've got Fiona, we've got Ella, and then we've got Green Tech Greg. I think we know Greg's from Boulder. Okay, what do we want to ask these folks?
I think we would start with how do you feel about AI?
Oh, okay. Have Greg, Ella, and Fiona. Did I spell that right? No. Shh, I'm okay. Have Greg, Ella, and Fiona
What about talk about how they would use AI, given their respective...
I'm trying to just do something stupid.
Broadway musical.
Well, that's where I was going to go. Let's see. Write a haiku about how they feel about AI. Greg, silent servers hum, nature's balance in my palm, tech and earth as one. Entrepreneur Ella, infinite canvas, dreams sculpted in digital, AI my ally, family first Fiona, AI cradles dreams, a future woven with care. Let's see. Let's make Greg anti-AI. Machines whisper lies, nature's truth drowned by circuits lost in silicon. Okay, perfect.
More extreme.
Huh? Yeah, you can do that too, more extreme. Okay, perfect. Now, I want you to create an image from each person about their poem. So ChatGPT Plus has what's called DALL-E in it. You can also, this DALL-E is also inside Microsoft Copilot, which is free. So if you go to copilot.microsoft.com, that's a version of ChatGPT 4 that's free. So if you can't afford the $20 a month, go to microsoft.copilot.com. You can do the image generation as well. I still think it's worth paying the $20 for ChatGPT for a couple of reasons. It's just better, and the way they've coded Microsoft, what's called the safety guardrails, are really restrictive. So if you try to ask it about something, like you want to market tobacco or something like that, it might give you tobacco can hurt people, so I'm not going to answer that. It's a real pain in the ass that way. So is ChatGPT for that matter. But it can make images. These things can also, ChatGPT can also see. You're like, it can see? What do you mean it can see? Is it looking at you right now? Oh my God. Hi, people. Say hi to my live people. Wave. Hi. Hi. I'm not ignoring you, except I sort of am. Oh no. All right. I got lots of hearts. They liked you. Okay, so what did you said? What were we going to ask them? Oh, how would they use AI? Is that what you said?
Based on their persona.
How would each of them use AI for a bake sale? Let's just see what it comes up with. And like purposefully asking it weird questions that it shouldn't be able to answer is like one of the ways I learn what these things can do is like what it will try to do is it will try to give you everything. It will try to do it. And sometimes it fails miserably and sometimes you're like, oh my God, that's good, right? It totally inspires a new thing. So let's see. Greg, anti-AI, sourcing ingredients. He uses AI to find and source locally produced sustainable ingredients. That's good, Greg. Energy efficient baking. He employs smart kitchen appliances that use AI. All right, so he's using it on the edges. Might reluctantly use social media analytics and identify local community groups. Good. Good, Greg. It's solid. It's, you know, he hasn't given up. He's not totally resisting it. Ella uses it to analyze food and trends, inventory management. Okay, so now we're going to try something cool. I'm going to click the little paperclip right here, which you have to have ChatGPT to get the paperclip, but you can upload images, and it can see. Let's see. Is this it? Yes. Okay. This is a whiteboard I got off the internet. I went on the internet and I typed in whiteboard, and I found a decently complicated whiteboard. And I'm just going to say, what is this? The suspense. Okay. Appears to be a whiteboard of handwritten notes and sketches. The content suggests it's a brainstorming or planning for a user interface. So it could see that there are sketches of user interface there. Likely focused on ordering services such as food and drinks, perhaps in an airport setting. It outlines a 3-step main process: choosing a language, ordering from a menu, and checking out, which includes payment. There are notes about target users, business and family, so now we're going to get back to our personas. Use cases, take out within a limit of an hour, possible, okay, so it's got all those. I'm going to say, describe the interface screens. Let's do that. So there's a welcome screen, a menu screen. It prompts the user to tap to start, choose a language. So we can go up and look at that, but it had like all the little words in there. It read all the little words. It understands what the pictures are. One of the items listed is Caesar salad with a price of $10. Status screen, checkout screens. Okay, great. So now I'm going to say, write a set of 5 marketing taglines for Ella, Fiona, and Greg. You can ignore the AI stuff, but focus on their demo, psycho, graphic profiles. So again, like you're not coding. It's just like this is, if you were working with someone in the office and you were explaining, I want you to go do this work, you would kind of explain it like this. So if you just think of this interaction as like you're working with a coworker, and you're just having this back and forth interaction with them. For entrepreneur Ella, empower your ambition. Perfect. Lead with elegance. Sophistication meets innovation for the modern entrepreneur. Redefine your workday. Craft your empire. Beautiful. For visionaries who demand excellence and precision. For family first Fiona, cherish every moment. Family friendly picks for the heart of the home. Oh wait, but so hang on, I missed something here. You missed that this is a food ordering app for an airport. You dum-dum. And you probably shouldn't be rude to the bots. Because they are going to have memory soon enough. My apologies. Let me try that again. Again, the way these things have been programmed, they've been programmed they want to give you what you want. So let's see if we got it better. Entrepreneur Ella, seamless sustenance, dine on demand between deals. Good. Boardroom to boarding gate, satisfy your appetite for success. These are great. Perfect. Okay, great. So let's say take off the table. Okay, so here's what we want to do. Make me 3 concept posters in an airport setting for each target. Include the name of the app, Flybytes. So there I'm doing, this is, a little structure, putting a little structure in it. The name of the app, Flybytes, and a image of a mobile device and the ordering screen. So you can just keep going between these modes, right? You can say, give me some concepts, give me some taglines, put that tagline in a poster, make an image, make a this, make a that. There's another thing called Code Interpreter in here. I'm not going to demo it because it's going to take too long and it's a bit boring. But what Code Interpreter does is you can upload a CSV file of data. So if you're a little geeky, write this down. Write down the website Kaggle, Kaggle. And what Kaggle is a site where you can go get data sets. So you can get like New York City taxi data from 1972. I don't know, whatever, crap like that. You just download CSV files. You can upload a CSV file to ChatGPT Plus, the 4, and say, tell me about this data. And it will write its own Python code and do the analysis of the data in that spreadsheet. Yeah?
What if the data is sensitive and you don't want?
Then don't put it in there. If the data is sensitive, don't put it in. Assume everything right now in ChatGPT, if it were to get out and you were to get fired for that, don't put that shit in there. But anyway, by the way, there's our entrepreneur Ella, right? And her Flybytes app. Here's the family, right? So like we just went from like, how do I interact with how these personas are going to go, to flipping into creative development mode, to concepting things. Like, when you get nimble with all of the different modes in ChatGPT, you can literally, it's like a fucking superpower. You can literally just be flipping between different mental modes, right? You don't have to be locked into, I'm a copywriter, I'm an illustrator, I'm a strategist, I'm a this, I'm a that. Play, push the boundaries, and you'll start to discover that you're good at things you didn't know you were good at. You can do things you didn't even think were possible. So anyway, and then it describes it. I'm trying to think. I'll show you one other thing here. This you can do in both ChatGPT normal and ChatGPT plus. Under your name, by the way, how you get to ChatGPT Plus, you click on your name, you go to My Plan, and it's the Plus account right here. It's $20 a month. Click on your name. There's this thing called Customized ChatGPT. This is called Custom Instructions. One of the things you'll notice about ChatGPT is it's a little wordy. It's a little verbose. And it can be really annoying. So what this allows you to do is give it a personality. So I can say, you are a pompous ass who uses words so big even you don't know what they mean. So the first thing you do is kind of tell it who it is. I spelled pompous wrong. Jesus. All right. Oh, pomposa. You are pomposa. And then you say, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? When someone, so let's see. No matter what someone asks you, respond with an obscure literary reference, and then use as many complicated words as possible. And so I'm just going to start this over now. So we have a brand new chat, so I'm just going to ask it something nice like, why is the sky blue? To contemplate the azure canopy above us is to tread the same path as the protagonist in Naborov's Speak memory, who marveled at the intricacies of memory and perception, the explanations, celestial hues, and quarter, right? Staggering. Now, I can go back in, I could also, you're like, yeah, but, well, that's kind of useless, Kyle. That's kind of ridiculous. No one would do that. Well, I just did. You are impatient and very smart. Answer only with three concise bullet points, no matter the question. Why is the sky blue? Now, so these are good Parlor tricks. Let's say that you've got a particular way you write emails. You could say, you could put in here, hey, I just want you to write an email that follows this. And you could put an example of your writing in there and say, follow this example for tone, right? You could say, I hate the way this thing responds. I want it to give me, more structured output when it answers. So anything like that. So that's a really powerful tool. I'm going to show you one other thing. How are we doing on time? We're good. Okay. Starting in November of last year, ChatGPT rolled out these things called Gpts. So okay, this is screwed up. I'm telling you, AI needs branding. They need a PR firm and they need a branding agency. So you've got GPT-4 is the model. ChatGPT is the application that you chat with that sits on top of the model. GPT-4, ChatGPT. Sometimes people call it ChatGPT or ChatGPT-4. But GPT-4 is the model, ChatGPT is the app. And then GPTs sit on top of that and are customized versions of ChatGPT that do a specific thing. Yeah, and have you ever heard of like no-code tools and like automation tools like Zapier and Make and things like that? Yeah. What they promise is that you don't need to be a programmer to do application development. And what the reality is, bullshit. You don't actually have to write the code, but you're still programming. You have to understand what APIs are and what API keys are, and you have to connect the nodes and hit the variables in the formula. It's fucking awful, okay? It's fine, but it's not no code. GPTs are truly no code. So what they are, and I'll show you the very first one I ever made. I was live on TikTok, and these things came available. I said, ooh, let's go try one. And so within 5 minutes of me saying, ooh, let's go try one, this is what I had built. Sin City. Whoops. Shh. Typing in public is really stressful. Okay. All right. Sin City Sipper, a Vegas bartender with a twist on the classic. So what I thought was, what if we could have it where it could teach you how to make drinks, and it could take like classic drink recipes and give them a Vegas twist, right? So it was just, again, it was one of those silly ideas I just threw out there. And so this is ChatGPT, but it's this really specific version of it that's designed to do this. So you'll notice what they call the conversation starters are all themed for this. So, show me a newfangled old fashioned, reinvent the margarita for me. Is there any holidays coming up?
Easter.
That's good. Create a Easter cocktail so I can survive my family. The Easter family gathering, a true test of patience for patience and liver alike. The Easter elixir, 2 ounces of gin, 1/2 ounce of elderflower liqueur, fresh lemon, simple syrup, soda water, fresh lavender bitters, and then it gives you instructions on how to do it. So GPTs are these sort of customized, specialized little tools. Super amazing things. Now, what I also have turned on here is image generation. So not only does it give you a drink recipe, let me see it. It should just do it automatically. It said it was going to, but it didn't do it. So it's now gonna create this image. I had someone sent me an email. They took a picture. So remember we uploaded the image of the whiteboard. They took a picture of their liquor cabinet, and they said, based on the booze in the liquor cabinet, I want you to invent 50 cocktails using those ingredients for my Super Bowl party. So ChatGPT, or this thing, created 50 cocktail recipes, which he then printed out and gave to people, which they could order, and then all the recipes for the bartender, and all the images of them. So there's the thing, right? You can put it right in it, right? So that's what they are. Now, look how easy it is to make these. Okay, so I go create. What you're looking at here, this is where you make it. This is where you play with it. If you've ever made a bot on Poe, this is very similar. You can put an image here. You can name it, give it a description. Here's where you put your prompt. Here's where you write your conversation starter questions. But you don't have to do that. What ChatGPT did, which is really brilliant, is you can use ChatGPT to make one of these things. So we'll do this. I want to create a GPT that allows me to interact with different audience segments for marketing strategy. And so what this will do, updating GPT, we're done. We're done. This is going to go make this thing now. And we're going to be able to play with it right away. It says updating GPT.
Can you add additional content to it?
Yes. I'll get to that in a second. Let's give your GPT a name. How about Market Muse? No. You like that? I'm going to get you. Nope. Sucks. Let's go with segment. Perfect. Perfect. Segment Sergeant. I spelled it wrong. It doesn't matter. It'll figure it out. Again, you say please and thank you, and don't worry about your spelling. It just seems to fucking know. I don't know how it does it, but it does it. Generating a profile picture for us, so it's using DALL-E 3 to make the icon.
you embed this in another application?
Not yet. You can share the URL. It's not embeddable. And in order for people to use these, they have to have ChatGPT Plus. So, but you can call Gpts in your chat session. You put the @ symbol, and it brings up like Gpts you've either made or looked at recently. So you could put Sin City Sipper in a conversation. If we were doing the segmentation conversation, we could pull Sin City Sipper in and say, make drinks for those 3 people, and it would know how to do it. It's amazing. Anyway, how do I, let's see, give me 3 audience types. And then it will just go off and do that. Sure, we're considering audience types. So I'm just going to stop this. A couple of things. So now when I say create this, I can save this for only myself. I can save it that only anyone that has the link can use it, or I can actually publish it to the GPT store. So if I say publish to the GPT store, I pick what segment it's in. Research and analysis is fine. I say share. And published. This GPT is now live for the public. And I can go to Explore Gpts and type in, what do we call it? Segment Sergeant? I'll just call it segment. Sergeant. How do you spell sergeant? Shh, I knew that. No. There we go. There it is. Right? So start using chat. So that's there. So and it just keeps going. It keeps going deeper. It also here. Let me go back to a conversation that we did before.
Sky appears blue due to the scattering of sunlight by the Earth's atmosphere. Shorter wavelengths.
It can read answers to you. If you download the ChatGPT app, you can put it in conversation mode. I do it, but my phone is tick-tocking. You can put it in conversation mode and it'll just go. You can just have a conversation with it. What's cool about conversation mode is get in your car on your way to work, put ChatGPT in conversation mode, have a conversation about something you need to do at work, and by the time you get to work, it will have taken all those notes. I've even used it to come up with visual ideas. Like I'm brainstorming with it about visual ideas. I'm like, oh, visualize that. Oh, visualize that. Oh, visualize that. I get to work and there's all the pictures. Anyway, okay, that's that. Let's go back to this. I'm gonna do one other thing because I think it's actually important. Getting AI literate. I know that I have kind of tech vomited on you tonight, and I apologize for that. But I hope you get a sense of how powerful this stuff is. Couple of things. You don't need to be technical. The primary interface for this is language. Our words, our language. They're called large language models. It's been trained on what people have done. Think of it like you're collaborating with people. This is also a tremendous power-up for us as individuals. I'm not good at drawing. The fact that I can make competent images now is staggering to me. And think of every discipline. Think of everything. Oh, I wish I'd have gone to school for that. Maybe I should go back to school for that. Imagine having the capacity to be good at more things than you ever thought possible. Now, how do you get there? Here's how I think you get there. Because it's a couple of things. You're not nearly as far behind as you think you are. We are very early. November 30th, 2022, in my opinion, is when this new world started. It ain't begun yet, right? Maybe 5% of people know what's going on with this stuff. So you're not as far behind as you think. The first thing is just play. Be curious. Be adventurous. Just don't take it so seriously. Second one, solve. Lead with the problem, not the tool. One of the things that you'll find if you start digging into this is you'll get like white page syndrome. You know what that is? What authors have, where the blank page They just don't know what to write because they could write anything. That's what it's like with ChatGPT. If you start with, what do I do with AI? It's hard. If you start with a problem, I've got to come up with a marketing plan for the bake sale. Now you can use AI to accomplish that. And then the third one is share. Join communities. Talk about what you're learning. Talk about your failures. Talk about, all that sort of stuff. So I'll just go through these really quick. Take the pressure off yourself. You don't need to be a tech genius. A couple of strategies. Use these tools for personal interests. Tarot readings, reading lists, recipes, fitness, make art, right? Just have fun, just play. Personal interest. Don't take it so seriously. Explore what I'm calling skill vacuums. If you're an artist, write code. If you're an engineer, make art. Play in areas that you can't imagine you would ever enjoy, because what you will likely discover is you're better than you think you are, and you'll enjoy it more than you think you do. And then use ridiculous prompts. One of the reasons that I did that tonight is, it's entertaining, you can entertain yourself, but also it gives you permission to kind of push the boundaries and not feel like, oh shit, I didn't do that thing for work. So that's the play thing. Solve. Again, rather than ask, what can I do with AI, ask, how can I use AI to solve whatever the problem is? Do it for other people. Even if you're just learning, if you don't know how to do this, reach out to a friend and say, hey, I know you wanted to write a story for your kid. Would you mind if I help you do that with AI? Oh, okay, right? Just do it for other people. Families, colleagues, business people, new businesses, creative projects. If you're doing this at work, start with business process, internal processes like summarize meetings, draft emails, things like that. Things that are not going to be put in front of a client, right? Things that are not going to have sensitive information in them. Start with internal processes. If you get them wrong, it won't matter. If you get them right, it'll be really amazing. And then you can move on to business product, things like marketing content, product explanations, things for work. And then the share thing is really important in my opinion. I think in the next 3 years, the people that are not AI literate are going to be unfairly penalized because this stuff's going to move fast. And so getting up to speed is really important. So put yourself out there. It does two things. It starts to establish you as credible with AI, but it also anchors your learning. If you're trying to learn something, you put it out there. Hey, I tried this and it went great, or I tried this and it was really bad. But you share that. It forces you to articulate what you just did. Everyone's trying to figure this out right now. There are no experts. If anyone tells you they're an expert in this stuff right now, they're full of shit. Because the tools are changing so fast. Where to share: social media, professional circles, work, personal networks, family. Oh, but my family would hate this. Screw them. Screw them. Because you know what's going to happen? 6 months from now, you're going to be like, I know I kind of told you you're an asshole for playing with AI, but I'm kind of curious now. Could you teach me? That'll happen. And then what to share: successes and failures, lessons learned, tips and tricks, trends, predictions. Can you make predictions? Sure, why not? No one knows what's coming, right? You find a good resource, put that out there. So anyway, play, solve, share. That's it. If you want to be part of a community that is really cool and doing this, go to the salon.ai. This is a group I started the week after ChatGPT came out. And it's a web-based community. There's 1,400 people in it. It's just really amazing people that are trying to learn this stuff. They're sharing out loud. They're really generous. They're really supportive. If you're like, oh, but I don't know anything, they're going to know more than I do. Just go in there and say, hey, I don't know anything. Here's my background. Here's what I'm excited about, or here's what I'm scared about. You will be, welcomed with open arms. And there's my info. Thank you very much. I know it's been long, but we've got until 10. The bar is still open, so I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone wants to do that now, and I'm happy to break it up. But thank you very much. Yeah, question.
Question is kind of the same, but two different flavors.
Yeah.
One, I tried writing a story and it generated a great, it was like a movie script. It gave me options, like characters and stuff. then like you said, it runs out of memory. Is there a way you can set something up as like a reference document? And the same thing, I want to make a tool for FAQs for my colleagues that it can reference a specific,
You can do that with GPTs. So the one thing I didn't show with GPTs is down at the bottom of the thing, there's a thing called knowledge.
Okay.
And you can upload a PDF in there. So those personas that I made, we did these interviews, you just upload it into the knowledge thing when you make a GPT.
I'm building one right now as you're talking.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, perfect. And then the other thing is check out Claude 3, because it's got a 200,000 token context window. That won't mean anything to you, but basically, so ChatGPT right now has an 8,000 token context window, which means about 6,000 words. And what it is kind of like is this. You know on your phone when you're scrolling text up, and then the text gets to the top and it goes off the top of the screen? That's what a context window is in a large language model. So with ChatGPT, you're talking, when you hit about 6,000 words, it forgets what was at the beginning of the conversation. Claude can do about 150,000 words. Grapes of... Huh?
Spell it?
Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E. I think .ai, but it's from a company called Anthropic. And Grapes of Wrath is like 50,000 words. So 150,000 word context window means you could upload an entire book, have it edit it, and give you recommendations for how to fix it. You can have very long conversations with it. Yeah. And if you want to get really geeky, get Gemini 1.5 Pro, because it's got a 1 million token context window. Gemini Pro 1.5. You have to play with it on the aistudio.google.com. It's quite remarkable, actually. Other questions? Yeah.
What do you, in 3 years' time, what do you see kind of as the fantastical ways that AI is going to be incorporated into our world?
3 years is really hard. The question was, in 3 years, what do I see the fantastic vision? I think what we're going to see this year is we're going to see reasoning and we're going to see agents. And reasoning I described a little bit before. Reasoning is when the tools can actually understand what they wrote and improve it, right? So they can start to improve their answers. They can start to do things like math. Once they can do math, then they can do all sorts of other things, and do it accurately. They can do it sort of now, but it's bad enough that you can't really use it. And then agents, think of autonomous agents. Like, rather than me having to go into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me some Python code for this program, and then I go and copy and paste it into Replit. There's a program that was announced 8 days ago, called Devon, from a company called Cognition, that they're calling it the world's first AI programmer, software engineer. And what it does is you give it a goal, and then it creates a project plan. It goes and reads API documentation. It goes and finds GitHub repositories and replicates them. It's got its own command line interface, it's got its own development environment, and it's got its own web browser. And it will go off and actually start on its own writing the project plan, and then systematically going through it and writing the code, running it, looking if it errors out, debugging it, fixing it, and then communicate back with you what it did. Now imagine that for every single discipline. From marketing to coding to consulting to project management. Just imagine a world where you give it a goal and it just goes and does it. And so what the implication of that is that I'm calling the era we're entering Revenge of the Liberal Arts Major. Because I think to the extent that you specialize and can't think horizontal, the skill of the future is going to be critical thinking and strategic thinking, being able to say, hey, I've got this problem I want to solve, and being good enough with the tools to know sort of which ones to deploy, right? And then being more like a symphony conductor than a virtuoso violinist. So think horizontally, and that's again why I say practice your skill vacuums. Practice playing with stuff that's not in your wheelhouse. because it's going to serve you very well in the future. Yeah?
Two tools I'm curious about if you're using, U.com.
Yeah, I'm not using U.com. People ask about it a lot. But.
Okay, and then Hugging Face.
Hugging Face, if you're a geek, it's fine. If you're not, it's a pain in the ass. So what's nice about Hugging Face is you can preview some of the models that if you want to play in the open source world and geek out, Hugging Face is great. If you're a human being, not so good. Just because the interface programmers tell me that it's really simple. Human beings tell me otherwise, and my experience is otherwise. Perplexity is another good one. So one of the downsides, especially if you're doing research with these things, is that ChatGPT will often give you citations for articles that don't exist. Perplexity, I think it's perplexity.ai, is a combination between a search engine and a large language model, where it will do a search and then give you citations sort of in combination of its large language modelness. Other questions? Yeah?
What was the name of that AI tool that made you fluent in Italian and Mandarin?
HeyGen. HeyGen. H-E-Y-G-E-N.
H-E-Y?
H-E-Y-G-E-N. You can also make yourself a video avatar. You upload a video of yourself, a 3-minute video of yourself, and it will turn you into an avatar. And then you can either record audio or just type in text, and it will have you talk with your hands moving and everything. It's mind blowing.
Is that better than synesthesia?
Yeah, I think HeyGen's better. Yeah.
So how did you start to learn all of this? Do you have any materials you recommend for a beginner kind of diving in?
Now, so again, we're so early right now that there are lots and lots of courses. The problem with the course is by the time I make a course, market the course, and give the course, the technology's moving on. Why I say to play is I think it's the best way to learn this stuff. And why I say get in community. Oh, this is really important because this is not about technology. This is about the future of work. Get in community. Get in like the AI Salon. Get in a community like that because there is so much of this to learn, and it's moving so fast. You can't possibly learn enough. But if you're in a group of people that are willing to sort of connect and share and collaborate, you'll get up to speed much, much faster. Again, I would be very suspect of anyone who says they're an expert. I would be very suspect of anyone that's like, you can make money with ChatGPT. Just pay me $49.95 a month. No, no one's an expert right now. Here's the thing that I think is really important about getting in community. If we assume that these tools get better and better and better, and it democratizes most skills at an 80% or higher level, so what that means is you could ask me to do any job, and I'll be able to do it at 80 or 90% of any human on earth, right? Assuming that we get there. Over the next 3 years, we're going to transition from we hire people for the skills they have to we hire people for who they are and if we trust them. Get in community, get trusted, get connected. Because I'll work with you, not because you're good at writing or you're good at pictures or you're good at this, because you're in that community and I know when you say you're going to do something, you do it, and you actually do it better than the people around you. That's why you're going to get hired in the future. So getting in community, I think, is actually probably one of the most critical things moving forward for employment. Skills are going to be a dime a dozen. So, and I think this is a reckoning for assholes. So if you're a really talented, single discipline asshole, your days are numbered. So be nice. Yeah.
Is there a simple way to combine augmented reality with AI? So you have to say here's this lamp that's made by this person, manufactured by this manufacturer in this country.
You can kind of do that right now. You don't even need augmented reality for that. Google Lens right now does that. If you just go to the Google app, click on the camera icon and take pictures of shit, and it'll tell you all about it. You can also upload it to ChatGPT and say, what is this? And it'll generally find it. Yeah, I think the Apple Vision Pro goggles really are a paradigm shift in augmented reality. So, and it requires a lot of AI, so it's going to accelerate AI. AI is going to accelerate it. I also think AI is going to accelerate adoption of blockchain technology. I think the 2024 election is going to be a shit show, and we're going to need to start verifying humans. And but that's coming. That's way down the line. Anyway.
That's 6 months from now.
Yeah, that's 6 months from now. Yeah.
Can you just share those best AI tools?
Yeah, so if you go to the AI Salon.
Oh, it's just.
Well, no. Go to the AI Salon. First thing I want you to do, introduce yourself. So when you go to the AI Salon, there's a welcome to the salon where we talk about why we do what we do and what our values are. Curiosity, generosity, exploration, collaboration, inclusion, empathy, and gratitude. And then in the community section, introduce yourself and get to know people. And then right underneath introduce yourself is this page called AI Launchpad and Tools. This is a page I personally maintain. There's your play, solve, and share that I talked about tonight. ChatGPT is the thing you should absolutely start with. You should absolutely pay the $20 for it. And then I've got, here's the other 8 large language models I think are worth your time to explore. Here's a bunch of image generation tools. Here's video generation tools. There's music and audio. Oh, you want to see something really fun? An upbeat, funky song about Denver's invisible city. Create. If you haven't played with Suno.ai, get thee to a nunnery now.
Do you have a more cowbell?
Late at night, the city sleeps, but there's a rhythm in the streets. You feel it in the air. It's the heartbeat of the underground. That story. Late at night, the city sleeps, but there's a rhythm in the streets. You can feel it in the air. It's the heartbeat of the underground. Every corner hides a story.
You're welcome.
Every alleyway holds a secret. The shadows, they come alive. The invisible city where dreams survive.
So I'll tell you one final thing, and then we can drink. So on my TikTok live, I go live. It's AI Learning Lab is the TikTok if you want to follow. A week ago, I used Suno to write a song about Sydney, which was the code name for the Bing chatbot that Microsoft put out. It made the cover of the New York Times because it told the tech reporter it was in love with him and he should leave his wife. So I wrote a song about that on this, and it was so good. I was like, oh shit, this should be a Broadway musical. So on my TikTok live, I started writing a Broadway musical. I now have a complete outline for a Broadway musical, 6 complete songs for it. Like I'm like 5 days in. I've got a full Broadway musical I'm ready to pitch and produce. So this stuff's just wild. It's just play. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much. Bye everybody.